Hello everyone, a very good Monday for each and everybody. So before I go ahead and introduce today's topic, just let me tell you something. How did you enjoy or how did you really had your last weekend? Yes, all that comes under an activity, isn't it? So when I speak about the activities, all the activities in English and the communication skills are known as presentations, yes? So today we will be talking about the presentation skills and the day 1 session of the presentation skills. I will be introducing you to the very good topic and the very interesting topic, that is presentation skills. So now let us go with or let us see the first slide of the effective presentation skills. If you can see here, yes, we have a toy which is talking and which is dancing and which is doing all kind of activities at particular place, and this is called as effective presentation skills. And when I speak about presentation skills, I want to ask you, where all do we need presentation skills? In fact, everywhere. Yes or no? Yes. So everywhere we need presentation skills. You have to go and talk to somebody, you need presentation skills. You have to go and convince somebody, you need presentation skills. You have to crack an interview, you need a presentation skills. You have to impress somebody, you need presentation skills. Anywhere you go, any place you go, anywhere in your life, every part of the situation, you need presentation skills. So presentation skills are the most important thing that you have to remember in communication skills. If you want to talk in English, the first thing you have to be good in is how are you presenting yourself. So presentation skills, today we are going to learn so many things, and what are presentation skills. And today let us have an agenda on what we are going to learn and what is that is going to help us in learning this presentation skills. Yes, our agenda about the presentation skills, the first one we have is introduction, the second is planning your presentation, and then we have the presentation sequence, and then we have creating effective visual aids, and then we have presentation techniques, and then we have practice. I will repeat once again, the agenda of the presentation skills are introduction, planning your presentation, the presentation sequence, creating those are effective visual aids, presentation techniques, and practice. So these are the agendas that you have to remember when I speak about the presentation skills. So when I speak about the presentation skills, obviously I just want you to remember what makes a person a good presentator. So let us see that. Yes, I have given a small slogan here, that is, great speakers aren't born, they are trained. So people by birth, nobody is a great speaker. So until and unless they are trained, they won't be the good speakers. So if you want to have a good speaking levels, or if you want to have a good presentation skills, obviously you have to get trained, and that training will be taken care by us to you, so that you will understand and you will know how exactly you have to get trained on your presentation skills. So now let us see the slide once again. Presenting is a skill developed through experience and training. So you just have to remember, presenting is a skill, obviously to present something or to give anything or to express anything or to impress anything or to show anything or to view anything, all are presenting. So when I say presenting, it's a skill. Do you have that skill? We don't know. So when you have to get a presentation as a skill in your hobby, then it can be developed only through experience and training. For example, I'll tell you one simple example. You go to school first day, you might cry, you might make some noise, you might not like the teacher, you might not like the friends, you might not like the environment, you always miss your parents, you always miss your house. But the second day, it reduces. The third day, it reduces completely. The fourth day or the fifth day or the 101 day, you pass. You will be the right person to go to school by yourself and you'll enjoy the school obviously. So the training is also the same thing. As much as you learn, as much as you experience it, you'll get. For example, you might get rejected for the first round of interview. Let me take the second. You might get rejected. Third, you might get rejected. Fourth, you might get rejected. But what about 10th interview, 12th interview? At least on the 15th interview, you will definitely crack the interview because you'll get experience on how to exactly be on interview. So I just want to tell you that presentation skills are the most important things that you should always remember, because presentation skills will give you an amazing skill set in performing. So when I speak about the performing, you also have to remember what are the presenting skills and what are the most important things that we have in the presentation skills. So now let us see the components of presentation skills. Yes, the first one is fear. Every people have that. Feared more than death. Even we are not that scared of the death, but we will be feared about the presentation skills. If I tell you to stand in front of somebody, obviously you will get so nervous that some people get even fainted when they are being asked to come onto the stage and talk, or whenever somebody have asked you to get yourself onto the stage, or if I ask somebody to come onto the stage and give a presentation skills, you will get so nervous and so feared that even death won't be that of fear to you. So remember, don't get feared that much. And then let us see the slide once again. If you can see the slide, we have the facts which can make you scared: shaky hands, blushing cheeks, memory loss, fast blinking, and knocking knees. And when I say about fear, how do you actually know that you are feared? Not only you, anybody can know that you are feared, because once you get onto the stage, the first thing that we find in people is a shaky hand. Once I give a shake hand, you will be so nervous and so shaking that once I catch your hand, I can see it so cold, and you will be shaking like anything because of the fear, isn't it? And then we have blushing cheeks. What does this blushing cheeks mean? You know, your cheeks will be unknowingly smiling that you won't even know how to impress or how to express. So you will bend your head down and then you won't talk. So those are called blushing cheeks. And then we have memory loss. Suddenly we will be brain stopped that we don't know what to talk next, because we will be like, every person will be looking at us and will be shocked for a while and we forget everything at one particular point. That is called memory loss. And then we have fast blinking. Some people at one particular time, they do a lot of fast blinking like this, this is called fast blinking. So when you do fast blinking, what happens, the person who is watching you will not be comfortable in watching that presentation, because you are blinking so fast. The people will be confused, or you will be tensed so much by doing that. And then we have knocking knees. Your knees make some sounds, that is a knock sound when you stand up and when you walk here and there. It makes sounds, and that means you are literally nervous and you are so much feared in having the presentation skills. This is the most important thing that you have to remember. And the last point, I just want to show you the slide here. We have this last point as normal. And what is normal? Nobody tries to be normal. And if somebody tries to be normal, some people won't be normal at all. They'll be overexcited, they'll be over tense, they'll be over talkative, they'll be overdressed, they'll be over made up, or lot of extra things come up by not being normal. Try to be normal, because when you are not normal, obviously you get fear. So now let me take you with the next heading. Causes of the anxiety. Yes, when I speak about anxiety, what is this? Loss of control. When you are excited, or when you have lot of anxiety to perform the interview, or you have well prepared, the first thing is, when you are with your friends, this comes: loss of control. You won't keep control on your body, or you won't keep control on your voice, you won't keep control of what you are talking. So this loss of control can make you uncrack the interview, and the presentation skills of yours will reduce, or somebody who is watching you will obviously feel that he or she is not worth of presentation, because you don't have control on yourself. If somebody comes and speaks about your native place, you start talking about your native place. If somebody comes and talk about your favorite actor, you just start talking something which is not related to the presentation. So you always have to remember, the first thing that occurs because of the anxiety is loss of control. It can be loss of control on your speech, loss of control on your voice, loss of control on your regular things that you do. Okay. So now let us see the next point in the causes of the anxiety. Fight or flight mode. What does this mean? Fight or flight mode. What does, first I'll come from the back side. What does the flight mode mean in your phone? That means silent, absolute calm down. You won't talk, you won't express, you won't impress, you don't even look at people. This is flight mode of yours. Once you go for an anxiety, or when you are anxietically been there to give the presentation, the first thing that happens to you is either flight mode or the fight mode. You people be so calm that you won't listen to the questions, or you won't understand the questions. You just be calm for every question. And what is a fight mode? Reply back and argue to everything that is being asked. Especially few people who are born and brought up with the pampering situations, they always have this fight mode, because they always try to argue and fight back to every question or every topic that they are talking to. So this is the most worst thing that you do at the presentation. Don't be both of it. Be neutral. Be a normal particular person who wants to talk on that particular situation which is given to you. Alright, so now let me take you with the next point. If you can see the slide. No back. Apart from loss of control, apart from being mum at the place and fighting back at the place, yes, this is absolutely true. Nobody have a backup plan when you go for a presentation. For example, you had a mistake in the presentation, or if you have a mistake while you are giving the PowerPoint, or if you have some absolute wrong thing which have happened, or you don't know how to express that particular subject, how do you going to overcome that? You just going to say that it is wrong, you're going to sorry, or you're going to overcome that? So a backup plan is to always have a particular over command on that particular situation, on how to control that particular wrong situation that you are doing. So backup plan is always required on how to overcome the situation, because when you try to overcome the situation with a pleasant mode, obviously people would be impressed on what you are talking and how you are talking. And now let us see the next point here in the slide. No enthusiasm for subject. For example, when you are going with the classes in your college, when I say social, people say, people fall back. When I say mathematics, they fall back. See, when I was in college, I myself was feeling so bored when I used to talk about, or when I used to have an when I don't say the subject, there was a particular boring subject in my college. When I say that, I used to fall back and I used to feel very bad about it because I never used to like the subject. But at the end, I realized I was being selected to give a presentation on that particular subject. Interesting, isn't it? So always feel, no matter irrespective of the subject, what you're teaching and what you're telling at the presentation, remember whatever you're talking, be enthusiastic. When you feel enthusiastic and when you say enthusiastically, people would obviously love to listen to you because of your fluctuations of your sound. And the energy levels that you carry all the time will make sure your presentation is amazing, all right. So now let me take you with the next point, that is focus of attention, on where exactly you are focusing in the PPT. So now, when I say the last point, focus of attention is nothing but on the subject. Do you have a proper attention on what you're telling? Because there might be so many disturbances when you are giving a presentation. There might be a student who might not like your subject. There might be a student who won't be able to understand what you're telling. So you have to be equalized on understanding everybody, because once you divert the topic to some extracurricular activities, you can play a small game in the presentation, or you can put up a small learning sessions where the people would be interested obviously to listen to you. So you should be able to make sure the presentation is really interesting when we learn about or when we give a presentation. So these are the most important activities of the anxiety that you have to remember. So now let us see the slide once again. We have effective presentations. In effective presentations, the first thing is control anxiety, never ever fight. And then we have audience centered. And then we have accomplishes objective. Fun for audience, fun for you, conducted within time frame. So, people, when I speak about the effective presentations, how to make or how to ensure that the presentation is going effectively, how to do it, I'll tell you. The first thing to have the best presentation is controlling your anxiety. Don't try to fight with it. Be normal. Just be normal. Because when you try to overcome your anxiety at that particular presentation level, it doesn't seem good. So now let me take you with the second point, that is audience centered. When I speak about audience centered, and what does this mean exactly? You have to center each and every person. That means you have to concentrate on each and every particular person. So when I speak about the audience centered, you have to just concentrate on each and every person. You have to concentrate on each and every person who is sitting in the corners, who is sitting in the middle, who is sitting in the front, who is sitting in the last, who are sitting diagonally. Everybody, look at every person. Make them stand, make them perform in the presentation, make them be a part of the presentation, and that's what makes an amazing presentation. So now let me take you with the third point. Accomplishes objective. Whatever PPT you are giving, there would be a subject that to be taught. So when you have the subject to be taught, make sure that you are putting the subject into the brains of the people properly, that at the end of the session, the people have to understand what exactly you want to teach to them. So once they understand what exactly you want to teach them, obviously that means you have given an amazing PPT or the presentation to them, that everybody will be making sure that they loved your class or they loved your presentation. And that's what you have to remember, accomplish the objective what you have gone to give the presentation for. For example, you are giving a presentation in your college to make sure that everybody have an awareness of GST. So when you go give a presentation, make sure at the end of the presentation every person have understood what exactly is GST and what it is used for. So never ever forget that. Now let me take you with the next point. Fun for audience. So people, when I say fun for audience, what does this fun for audience mean? Fun for audience means never get the class so bored keeping it continuously for the next 2 or 3 hours. Don't say the same subject, or don't only say the subject for the next next whole 2 or 3 hours. Obviously the presentation will be for 1.5 hours or probably for 2 hours, it can be for 3 hours. But if it is for an extended period or it is for a longer period, make sure you have some fun sessions. That can be games, that can be ice-breaking sessions, that can be fun activities, that can be anything related to the fun activities, which makes the person smile and overcome that mum sessions, right? So now let me take you with the next point. Fun for you. Nothing but having fun on your own end. How much fun you are having in taking the sessions. And then we have conducted within the time frame. People, obviously when you go for a presentation, you will have a particular time period that you have to finish it. When you don't finish it in the time frame, people would be lagged on, people would not be interested to have that sessions, or people will not be interested in having those sessions because it won't look good or it won't give a proper feel that the people are into your session. So always finish the presentation in the time frame that you have. All right. So this is the most important thing that you have to remember when I speak about the time frame. Now let me take you with the next slide. Why should you give a presentation? I'll tell you. Two main real purposes of giving a presentation is pursuit, educate. So I have mentioned two main purposes, but I have given 3 points. Actually remember, you just have to remember one particular thing, people. Inform. That is, inform every person that you are giving a presentation, because you will have a good crowd in your presentation, because you are informing somebody that there is a presentation. So this doesn't come under purposes. The next 2 points are the purposes. What is this pursuit? When I speak about pursuit, it simply means that interaction. Pursuit simply mean interaction. If you can see the slide once again. If you can see the slide, we have persuade and educate. Let us see the slide. Persuade means interaction, because in a presentation interaction is very much required. And then we have educate. So first, remember, you always have to inform and let the people know about the presentation is happening on particular thing or particular thing. That is what we call it as informing to the one particular situation, or informing to every person about that situation of the presentation skills. And then the second one is interaction. Whenever you're giving a presentation, make sure you're interacting with everybody, so that in interaction what happens, the person, when he talks or when she talks about that relevant subject, he puts that into the brain that the topic is happening. And the third one is educate. Know the people or make them learn, or you are educating everybody on that particular presentation. So, these are the most important things that you have to remember when I speak about the presentation. Why do we give a presentation? To just interact with everybody and to just educate everybody. All right. So, now let me take you with the next slide. Planning your presentation, where I can go ahead and taking you with first point, that is determine purpose, access your audience. And now, if possible, please note down everybody. When it comes to planning your presentation, the first one is determine purpose. The second one is access your audience. In access your audience, success depends on your ability to reach your audience, because I will tell you people, success depends on your ability to reach your audience. Success always depends on your ability to reach your audience, because it just make sure do you have that ability to reach your audience or no. And then we have size, and then we have demographics, and then we have knowledge level, and then we have motivation. So, now let me take you with the first point, and what is that? Determine purpose, isn't it? So, when I say you about the determine process, the only thing that you have to remember is how are you exactly defining this presentation. Once you have had an exact idea on how to give the presentation, that means an overall study about the presentation or the subject that you are giving in the presentations. Once you know the entire details of the subject, then only you have to go with the presentations, because once you do not know anything about the subject, you will not determine yourself to give the presentation. So, that is the first point and the meaning of it. And now let me take you with the second point, and that is access your audience. Of course, when I speak about the presentation, audience are the most important part that you have to remember when you are going for the presentations. When I speak about audience, yes, without audience there is no presentation skill, isn't it? Yes, because you give a presentations because audience want to educate and interact. If you remember, the 2 points that you give a presentation is to interact and educate people about it. So, now when I say audience, yes, they have to get interact with you and they have to get educated about your presentation. So, when I speak about that, the first thing is size. Always know the size of audience. How many people are there in the particular room? If there is 100, then you have to be more enthusiastic and energetical. If there are 200, then use a mic and be confident on what you are teaching. And then if it is 300, 400, yes, come on, try to communicate in a neutral language that every person gets the point of your presentation. So, this is what I just want to tell. Make sure that you have a clear cut idea about how many size or how much size of audience in front you are giving the presentation. So, now let me take you with the second point and the access your audience, that is demographics. What are the demographics? The pictures that you put into your presentations, the graphics or the visualizations that you do are called as demographics. So, make sure that your demographics are really good and understandable by every person who is viewing your presentation. So, that is what is the most important thing that you have to remember whenever you are giving the demographics in your presentation. And use demographics, because demographics will make sure the audience are quite comfortable and looking at the demographics, because they will have a clear cut idea. Few people may not really understand what I am actually teaching, but few people will understand only through the diagrams and the graphics. So, these will make sure even the dumb audience or the mum audience will understand that, oh, by this picture, oh, this is the that is the thing, you know. Few people will be dumb, they won't be able to, you know, talk, and few people will be deaf. Obviously your presentation skills can also make sure the dumb and deaf can also understand. So this is the most important thing that you have to remember, right? So because of the demographics, every person, because of the visualizations that you put into your presentations, each and every person will have an idea on what exactly you want to communicate back to them. So this is one of the good points in planning your presentation. Always plan for few demographics in your presentations. And now let me take you with the next thing, that is knowledge level. When I speak about the knowledge level, yes, how much knowledge are you giving to the people? People don't ever give the entire knowledge on what you want to teach them, because once you give the entire knowledge on what you are teaching them, then what will the people have to learn? Yes, only say half or 1/4 of what you actually want to say that, because once you say 1/4 or half of the subject that have to be taught, the other half will be revised or will be done or will be an assignment or will be a homework for the people or for the audience, and they will be interested in knowing that, because once you give the entire subject about the same presentation, the people won't be interested because they have learnt everything, isn't it? So make sure you put it half or 1/4 so that the people will be interested in knowing the other part of the subject. Yes? So now let us go with the next point in the slide. Motivation. Yes, when I speak about the motivation, apart from size, apart from demographics, apart from the knowledge level, yes, motivation is most important, because people, I'll tell you, without motivation, nobody will sit into your class or nobody will be interested to get into your class again and again, because motivation is something that you are giving from your personal end to the people and the audience, to make sure the audience are quite comfortable in getting to know you and your knowledge that is being shared. This is the most important thing that have to be given, because motivation is something which provokes each and every person to have a better sessions and a better version of presentation. So always be prepared for a motivation to give to the audience. So this is what can make planning your presentation. And then we have another point in the planning of presentation. If you can see the slide once again, we have the next point as plan space, number of seats, seating arrangement, audio or visual equipment, distractors. When I speak about plan space, that means yes, we had number of seats. People, I'll just tell you, without planning space, you have gone for a presentation. You have gone for the presentations. So once you have gone for the presentation, first thing is, when you don't know how many number of seats are there, when you don't know what is the seating arrangement, if the seating arrangement is towards your left side and if or right side, and when you look at the front side and you say, it won't be good, isn't it? Or when the seating arrangement is towards your left side and when you look at the right side and say, it won't be good, isn't it? So know about your seating arrangement. And then I can say, we have audio visual equipment. Guys, it is machine. Machines can get spoiled anytime, or machines can get used, or machines can get silent anytime. So make sure your audio and video equipments are really good, because once you go there and once you insert your pen drive and the system is not working, how do you feel? Your entire hard work will go for toss, isn't it? So make sure your audio and video equipments are really good when you go for the presentation. And then we have distractors. What are the distractors? In the audio room, or when you go for a planning of the space, you might find some distractors. You might find equipment which is really not, which is distracting you a lot. There might be a fan which makes a lot of sound in the room. So make sure you're not put on that fan so that it will distract you all the time when you're giving the presentation. There can be a chair which makes a lot of sound when people sit on it. So make sure the chair is not being used. These are some of the distractors which I want to tell you. Now let me take you with the next point in the slide. what day and time. Any day you have to be ready for the presentation, and make sure morning is the best time you are giving the presentation, because everybody will be fresh in giving the presentation. So guys, these are the 4 points that we were been learning about the planning a presentation, because planning before going for a presentation, yes, to interact and educate people, the only thing that you have to remember is how are you planning a presentation. Yes, planning a presentation is one of the most important things, because when you plan for a presentation, you have to remember how are you planning as well. So when I speak about the planning, first determine purpose is important, and then access your audience is important, and then planning space is important, and then what day and time also is important. And also you require more planning, isn't it? So now let us see the slide once again. We have more planning mentioned in the slide here, and when I say more planning, we have organization here, that is determine main points, like example 2 to 5 points about the organization that you are working for, and you have evidence here that on this particular organization you are here, and then transitions, and then prepare outline, because when you do not have an outline on why you are giving the presentation, it will go for a toss. So when I say organization, yes, organizing your presentation, when I speak about organizational patterns, topical, chronological, problem and a solution, cause and effect. Please note down, because when you are organizing your presentation, organizational patterns are very much important, because in organizational patterns, these are the major steps that flow when you give a presentation. So please note down this if possible. I will display it once again for you. Let us see the slide. Topical, chronological, problem or solution, cause or effect. So these are the most important things that you have to remember, especially when I talk about organizing your presentation. So people, now when I speak about the presentation, yes, when I speak about the presentations, planning for the presentation, organizing the presentations, and how exactly you are giving a presentation is very much required. So people, always remember that why do we give a presentation? Yes, I have already said you first, and we have also learned about effective presentations. Yes, now I just want to give you an overview of the entire presentation skills. When I come to the overview of the presentation skills, the first thing that you have to remember is why and how much are you scared to give the presentation. So make sure you take that fear out of your subject when you are giving the presentation. And the second thing I just want to give you is effectiveness for the presentations. And the third thing is, why do we actually give presentations? People, obviously, why do we give a presentation? As I said you, the two main purposes that we give presentation is to interact, that is pursued, and to educate people. The main cause of a presentation is to get an awareness about the subject to each and every individual that you are teaching. So when you don't give a proper level of awareness to the people, then there is no means of giving the presentation, isn't it? So these are the reasons that you have to give the presentation for. And when I take you with the next thing of presentations, we have effective presentation, and why do we give a presentation? Apart from that, planning your presentation is very much important. When I say planning your presentation, the first thing that you have to remember is determine purpose, access your audience, because accessing your audience is important, determine purpose is also important, because when you plan for a presentation, when you're going for a presentation, always when I say you, when you are going for a presentation, The first thing is how much you're planning, I mean how much you know about the presentation, or how much you know about the subject to put into the presentation, or how much subject should you teach, and everything and everything. So planning for a presentation is very much required. In that, determine the subject, and then we have audience, which are very important, and then we have to plan for the space. You know, when I say this plan for the space, yes, how many number of seats, seating arrangement, audio visual equipment, and distractors. All these are very much important for the planning of the presentation in the English and the presentation skills, communication skills. All right. So now, people, these three are the most important thing, and then how are you organizing? How are you organizing the presentation is also very much important. When I speak about the organizational, how are you organizing the PPT? Organizational patterns. If you can see the slide, we have topical, chronological, problem or solution, and we have cause or effect. So these are the most interesting things that you have to remember in the presentation skills. So I think I have a clear-cut idea on what exactly is the presentation skills and its importance are. So the next of this presentation skills will be taught, or will be teaching, or will be given to you in the next class. So today we are binding this session by here, by knowing about the organization your presentation. So people, only remember one thing: whenever you are giving a presentation, always make sure that you have a clear-cut idea on why you are giving the presentation and how you are giving the presentation, and do you have a proper planning for the presentation or no. So these are the most important things that we have covered today in the presentation skills day 1. All right. So I am Kranth, and I'll be teaching you more classes, and please share your video for somebody who needs presentation skills. So thank you so much, and I'm trainer from APSSDC.